Hi, everybody. I'm Emily. I lead the DevRel team here at Scroll, and we're here another week for a Code on Scroll workshop. So today we have a really great guest covering Remix, I think the first IDE I've ever used, so very near and dear to my heart. But before I dive into some, I guess, monologue about my experience with Remix, I'll let Rob introduce yourself and introduce, I guess, what Remix is for the uninitiated.
Hello, I'm DevRel at Remix. Remix is this onboarding platform. It's a IDE, so you're programming smart contracts in it, and it doesn't require any setup because it's an online version. So it's coding in an online environment, and then you can easily deploy to any chain you like.
Okay, very cool. I guess can you tell a little bit about how like Remix is different from the other, I guess, deployment tools? It's pretty obvious, but I guess also for those who might are unfamiliar with it, like pros, cons,
Well,
maybe.
I mean,
Yeah.
the first thing is it requires no setup, so you don't have to get your stack locally done. It's already there. And the other point is that it's a GUI-based IDE. So there's lots of buttons to click on. And you click on a button and you can see the result graphically. There's also a graphic debugger. So you can, the UI is already there. So you can use it natively. And it also looks good because it's designed to have a UI.
Yes. Okay. Very exciting. The debugger is my favorite part. So I guess theme for today is basically getting the very basics of Remix, but then unlocking all the really advanced features that I just never knew about until I talked to Rob. Um, and as you mentioned, it's a UI based product, so it's probably easiest if we just explain what it looks like. Share your screen and like take us away for like deploying our first contract.
Okay. Am I sharing? Was sharing?
Was sharing. Let me see
Oh,
if
here it
my
comes. It should be showing now.
yes.
Okay. So here's the remix. So when you come to remix, oh, wait a minute. I have two windows open. Just a minute. Of course, as soon as I start a podcast, my headphones about to run out. Okay. At least, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Well, not anymore.
Sorry about that. I'm back. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, good. So let's see. When you come to remix, let's actually start from a refresh state. So I'll just refresh it. And which shouldn't. What's going on now? Wow. Live demos are always dangerous. That's incredible. It's usually loading up really quick. Here, I'm going to refresh
Yeah.
that again.
I don't know. Is your internet connection slow? Is your video is lagging a bit? It's not
Huh.
horrible, but um.
It could be. Here. Okay. Anyway, well, actually, that's an interesting point because a little bit later I'll talk about this new product we have, Remix Desktop, which allows you to work offline.
Mm.
But anyway, so you're here, and so there's like different things we're promoting on the home tab. But anyway, you probably want to get right to work. So either you can clone a repo by coming here and hitting clone, or you can go to our template explorer. And this is like the generic remix templates. This is blank ones, but we have Open Zeppelin templates. We have Cookbook, which is this huge library of smart contracts. Anyway, and some ZK templates. and like Uniswap template and actions and stuff. So, but for the moment, we're just gonna create a basic one. And in the contracts folder, there's some basic templates to look at. And I'm just gonna take this one. And then you can compile it by going to the Solidity compiler and just hitting compile. Wow, what is going on? Or hitting compile here. Um, that's interesting. Okay, I guess my connection is very slow because there was a lag getting the compiler to load. And you can compile it here, or you can also compile it with a control S will compile a contract. And then you can deploy it. And the deploy, you can deploy to the local remix environment, the local blockchain, or you can use any injected provider, so like any browser wallet you like, and you can go through Wallet Connect. And so anyway, we're going to deploy it here. Um, Maybe I'm going to. This is totally. Okay, here it goes. Um, you see, I hit deploy a few times here. Let's see what happens now. Is there a lag still? There's still a lag. Okay, well, anyway, you open up the deployed instance and you can see the functions of this contract. And as you can see also, there's this contract imports console logs. So you can put console logs just like you do in Hardhat in your contracts in Remix. And so then to add value to this contract, you put that here. Also, you can see the gas estimations for each function. And so we'll change the address of the owner of this contract. That's what this contract does. So we'll grab the contract here. As you can see in the Remix VM, there's 10 accounts loaded with Ether. And then I put the account here. When you open up the deployed instance over here, you can see each of the function inputs separately. So this function only has one input, but if there are like 10 function inputs, you'd put them in separately and it makes it a lot easier to understand what's going on. And then you can hit transact. And then here we can open the debugger. And also this icon up here lets you open this on the right side of the panel. I'll show you this a little bit later, but it would open it up over here. And so by stepping through the debugger, you can see like the line that this opcode is taking place on. It highlights line over here. Um, and yeah, and you can put breakpoints in, and then you can play with those. And that's what these are, to jump over the breakpoints. And then you can also see like what the local variable is and what the state variable is. And then and so also like Remix, it's saving all the files every 5 seconds or so uh, in the browser storage. But if you wanted to save on your hard drive to be more secure, because eventually browser storage does get corrupted, you could save to your hard drive. So to do that, you need to have this npm package called remixd running. And here, I'm just going to do it here. So
Is it
that's
just
running.
a npm install remixed? Like, how do I find the
Yeah,
instructions?
if you go to connect to local file system, the instructions are here.
Okay, cool.
Also how to update it. And then when you hit connect, uh, you're connected to that folder on your hard drive. And let's see, the contract here, it's so I can compile this hard hat. I'm showing a hard hat folder here, just so you see how to work with hard hat as well. And when you go to the hard hat, you can click this button to enable hard hat compilation. So it makes the hard hat config file. And to compile a file, you have to have it the active file in the in a main panel tab. And then you click this button or Control S to compile it. Um, and let's see. So I'll just so right now it's just compiled. Oh, we got a warning here. Oh yeah, here's a little quick trick for oh, this is saying it needs version 27, but version 26 is loaded. So I'm worried about my internet, so I'm gonna make this 26, and then I'm gonna compile it. Actually, I'm gonna compile it with hard hat now because I saved it here, so it's saving it on my hard hat folder.
So does what you type in Remix right now just automatically reflect locally?
Yeah, because it's
Okay.
sharing the same folder.
Okay, so it's doing this live. It's not like I have to click save and then.
No, it should be doing it live. Um, what did I do here? Is this the right one? Listening for. Oh yeah. Okay. Oh, this is so I have to be in the same folder to compile it with hard hat. This is the hard hat folder, and then I'm gonna do oh yeah, npx hard hat compile. Just do it. Yeah. Okay. So I compiled it, and then when we go to uh, Remix, the deploy and run shows that it's compiled by Hard Hat. So this means that like you can take you can develop your projects in Hard Hat, but then deploy them in Remix. And you can either deploy them like to any chain you want, but as long as we're in the Hard Hat chain, like as long as we're sharing the directory, I could um, do a run a Hard Hat node, which is np. As soon as that gets going, then okay. So then, and then when we go to deploy and run here, and you select the hard hat provider, we're getting the addresses from the hard hat node.
I see, and it automatically detects the hard hat provider being run?
Yeah, because you selected it over here.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, but I'm saying you had to have
You
run
can only
the hard hat
right. Yeah,
locally first on your
yeah,
own.
yeah. And to do that, you have to connect with RemixD. So you're in the local host workspace.
Okay, sorry. I need to re-clarify. If you had not typed in npx hard hat node, would deploy like hard hat have worked? Or you
Uh,
need to start it locally?
you need to start it locally because
Okay,
it's
okay.
running on your local computer. It's
Right,
not
right,
on
right.
in the browser.
Okay, cool. Just confirming.
Oh yeah.
Um,
And so let's look for other kinds of ways to deploy too, as long as we're deploying. Um,
so the other question, I guess, is could you do it if how would you do it if you had like a config file in hard hat that maybe is pointing to scroll via like a RPC, right? I'm like trying to deploy in that fashion. Can you like
I
reference the different networks configured or only the hard hat provider?
uh, I think you're just going to be doing the hard hat provider here. Otherwise, you'd be deploying through uh, the wallet. But you could also have scripts. I mean, you wouldn't be using a hard hat for deployment at that point when you're
Right.
going through Remix.
Okay.
So the typical way is to go through injected provider, and then you could choose your, like we're going to choose Sepolia scroll Sepolia. Come on, stick. Uh, Come on, why isn't it doing it? Wow, nothing like Monday mornings. Oh, I see. Oh, I think I forgot the R in scroll. Okay, so you add it to MetaMask here. So just so that was kind of quick thing, but it's this little plug that is a link to Chainlist. So now that means that scroll Sepolia is configured in MetaMask. And then in this case, I need a Unix timestamp. I think this is a good one because it should be Halloween. And then just so you don't need to dial it down. Oh yeah, and I'll add some value here. And then I approve it. So the Remix VM and the Hard Hat VM, you don't need to um, approve any transactions, but this way you do. You can also write scripts. So as you can see, that went in, and then you can see uh, the result of the um,
So in the remix case, I guess the only way devs would be able to deploy to scroll is if they had like MetaMask downloaded and added the chain through Chainlist. And if they did want to use like a Alchemy, for example, they would have to add a custom network in their MetaMask and then choose that
You
network.
could also use this one,
Oh, okay, okay. So they have okay, I didn't see that.
so you can go that way. Yeah,
Okay.
and
And then
then
I guess Wallet Connect would also then just connect you to if you had like a Rainbow or some other wallet.
if you have any a browser wallet loaded, it will come up here. If you have multiple browser wallets, it will
Oh,
also.
okay, okay.
They,
So it'll be like injected provider dash and then whatever
yeah,
you have.
right.
Okay, cool.
And then Wallet Connect will open the Wallet Connect plugin here, and then you can do all the
Mm,
Wallet Connect stuff with the QR code. So you can approve a transaction on your mobile device, um, and then yeah, so you can mimic what more like a user might be doing.
okay, very cool.
And then, but you could also let's go back to here. You can also deploy with scripts. I think I'm going to switch to like this one. Oh boy, should run downstairs to where the internet is faster. I had no idea. Okay, here we go. Anyway, so contracts, um, it's going to get them. Wow, this is okay. Um, oh, sorry. Yeah. So here, there's some deploy scripts here. So you can natively use Web3 or Ethers.js as scripts, TypeScripts or JavaScript. Um, and then what else? And the cool thing about these scripts is that you can connect a script to a contract. So like, just a minute. Come on. What is going on? Okay, here we're in the storage, and you can see with this custom NAT spec here that we're connecting uh, this deploy with Ether script to this. um, to this contract. So then in uh, deploy and run, once we can compile it, and then once it's compiled, it'll run the script that's connected. So like it means that you can here I'm going to make sure that this is just going to locally. Okay, it's in the Remix VM, and then when you compile and run the script, it's going to compile it, and it should also deploy it. So now it's running that deploy with Ether script.
So was this script auto-generated by Remix?
This script it's just an example script.
Okay, so you wrote this up. It's not like
Yeah, yeah, and it's in the basic template. And you get to templates again by coming here and then going to create using template. And so getting back to where things are being stored, like this is in browser storage. RemixD connects to your computer. But if we had set this one up as, yeah, why don't I just go to a scaffold ETH. So this is, I had cloned this repo yesterday. Um, Come on. Here, okay. And sorry, there's a little lag. So right now there's this, and this repo is set up with Git, obviously because it's a repo, but you can switch the branches of the repo down here. So in this case, it's scaffold ETH, and there are all these different challenges, and each challenge is in a different branch. So to switch branches, I would just go here, and then it would retrieve them. And then the basic Git plugin is here. And so the basic, basic Git commands are here. You can't do anything really too fancy like cherry picking, but you can do all basic commits and pushes and pulls and everything. So it's important just to know where your work is being saved and where it's being backed up.
cool. And then with deployments, say I have like a more complex, I guess, deployment process. So like I have to do like X contract before X contract, pass this information into whatever. I would have to do that via a script, and I can't just do that through the Remix UI.
You can, but it's one click at a time.
Yeah, okay.
And the other thing about the scripts and why compile and run is interesting is that you can set the state of the contract through the script, and then when each time you can compile the script, it'll set the state and then take the next action. So you can kind of iteratively update your contract, and if it's you have to set the state of a bunch of different contracts, you could.
Through the script, you mean,
Yeah,
not like
right,
through Remix UI.
right, right.
Right. Yeah.
And the other thing is the interesting thing about being connected to the local host, sorry, back here. Um, I forget if it's running here. It should be. Um, is that when you when you do the static analysis of a file, so first we need to have it compiled. So we'll get a, where's the file? No. Um, well, anyway, if you're in, you can get Remix deconnected. Here, we're just going to go here for the moment. Wow. Uh, and when you compile a contract, and then you can go to Solidity analyzers once it's compiled. And if it's remixed connected, then you can get slither analysis as well as remix analysis and sol hint. Um, anyway, uh, right now I'm not connected to remixed just for the sake of
Can you give
awkwardness.
context on like what Solidity Analyzer achieves and why someone would use it? Um,
It's just gonna throw up issues that you might want to check out of, it's just gonna go through basic problems of Solidity coding. And I think and sol hint is a linter, Solidity linter, and slither's kind of popular static analysis tool. Actually, I also would like to go more into the Remix AI stuff as well, which I guess is changing the subject again as we
no
bounce
worries.
around. um, so, uh, so um, the first one, there are a few different kinds of AI in Remix. One is code explanations. So like this little robot here, this is usually typically off when we start, so I'll turn it on later, but this is to explain the contract. And that's gonna send probably, it's a remote AI, so it's sending something to our AI servers and it's gonna come back with an explanation of what this contract is about down here in the terminal. And then if we compile this with an error, like leave off that or something, and I'll compile it here. And then we go to the Solidity compiler as soon as that compiles. Uh, you can ask Remix AI what the problem is. Also, this goes to the line where the problem is, or the line after. And so put that back in. And then you can also um, have it, do some, with this on, you can ask it to do some coding. Actually, each time, yeah, if I write a function like function add 10, and then it'll Remix AI will start giving you suggestions on each um, uh, addition. Like each time you type, I think it should. And then if you hit tab, it will accept it. Um, and so you can kind of go on like that and see it.
Mm.
And if you like take out, this is not part of Remix AI, but if like you take out a, let's, if we take out the pragma here, uh, if we take out the pragma here, it should get a little quick fix. But I guess with my computer speed, it's messing that up. So I don't, but there are quick fixes in Remix, and also like, oh yeah, here's the error line, um, which I guess is caused. Oh, that's from the previous one. So we'll compile that. Hmm.
So
Okay.
Remix AI, I guess, does like auto completion or like suggested completion as you're typing. Would it also do things like, oh, please write a function that does XYZ and takes in these parameters?
Yeah. And you do that with, I think we need to get, let's take a different example. Wow. And we go, we could write it like with 3 forward slashes, like write a function that takes in a uh, uint and return turns. And depending upon your connection speed, here, something like that.
Okay, very cool.
And then you can also ask questions here in the terminal. Um, what is the, and then you can get answers down here in the terminal. So that's coding assistance. Um, and yeah, why don't I give a quick tour of Remix Desktop?
So desktop is already out. You can download this
You can
already.
download it, but this one, I mean, it's in beta. It will be released to, it'll be a full release in the coming weeks. So basically, it's just like Remix. The only difference is that you can work offline. So you can you can choose which compilers you want to download. If you go offline, then this little icon will turn red. If you want to open up a different folder, uh, you would you make a new, yeah, you'd make a new folder, and you choose the folder. So Remix is taking the desktop is going to make a new instance um, for each folder. Each folder becomes a new instance of Remix. So here is another instance of Remix Desktop. It's just pointing to a different folder than what I had before.
Mm. So all of like Remix AI also works here. Does that work
Yeah, that's
locally?
true. The big difference here is that if you need to have the deploy and run doesn't go through a browser wallet now. So either you're just going to be deploying locally or you need to have an external HTTP provider, Alchemy or whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
But the advantage is that it's local, so you don't lose files. You don't have to bother with Remix D. And there's also a native terminal, so you could do all your Git commands here.
Mm.
And you could have multiple terminals here as well.
Oh yeah, but my question was, does the AI work offline?
Uh, that's a good question. I think it won't because it's not local. In the future, it might, but at the moment, I'm pretty sure it's just going to be local.
Okay.
Uh, the other interesting thing for desktop coming is that you can start running circuits. We do have, and in case you don't know about this, this is the plugin managers. This is how you load different plugins. And then to load a plugin, like in this case, we're going to load up the Circom plugin. And because circuits are so intensive, they're often too big to run in the browser. So you can run them here in Remix D. I mean, sorry, in Remix Desktop, um, and you'll have more horsepower, the horsepower of your computer. Um, so that's what's going on with Remix Desktop. Um, what else do we got? Here, look at my little list.
Writing tests in Remix.
Um, so there's
Maybe that. Yeah.
the where is it? The Solidity. Oh, it's already activated. Ah. Okay, so you can write unit tests here, and you can generate a unit test just to see what it looks like. And so these are just going to be Solidity unit tests. But if you want to run like a Mocha chai test, then you can run that just as like a normal, JSTS script.
Mhm.
Um, and let's see, where is it? Should be test here. Yeah. And another interesting uh, part of this test is, well, it goes right into our tutorial tool called Learnith. But so anyway, staying here, you can check it like this, the format for writing these Solidity tests. And then when you run it, it'll run everything down here.
Okay, so the Remix unit tests are written in Solidity.
Correct. Yeah,
I guess like similar to Foundry.
right. And then if you want to write the JavaScript tests, then you're just making a TypeScript.
Right. Yeah.
And there's some documentation about that in our Read the Docs site. And then
I guess my question is, does Remix testing have all the same functionality as like so I know with like Foundry testing I'm able to like fast forward and rewind the VM or skip or change the timestamp.
no, it's not as sophisticated as that.
Okay. Okay.
It might be good to like get a handle on how to write Solidity tests and then go over there.
Okay.
But they're pretty basic. Uh, yeah. Why don't we go on to the Learnith plugin, which is this one. Solidity unit tests here brought up, well, here, I'm going to bounce it over to the right side of the screen. That was this icon. And because in these ones, these tutorials, there's some tests you can take. So like it's loading the this page. Wow. Okay, well, it's loading it. It's still loading it. Anyway, okay, and then you're okay. So I think we have too many things open here. we're going to make that go down. And here's the file. And then there's some instructions, and then you can get an answer, which will appear here. And there's you can put the wrong answer in, and it will check your answer. So those answers are getting checked with a solidity unit test. And the cool thing is that you can kind of go through. It's good, like if you're forgetting your solidity, you could just run back here and check how to, what the format of, of different solidity topics are. Let's see if I'm scared to change it. How long is it going to take to load? Okay, well, anyway, that was one thing I wanted to promote. Um, wow, it's painfully slow today. Okay. Um, and yeah, there's a good range of tutorials there. And although there isn't one about writing unit tests, but there's some documentation in the Remix docs, which actually it's kind of interesting to get there. All the plugins here in Remix, if you open this top panel up, you can click that and get to um, the documentation about it. And going back over here, if we go back to unit testing and we open up this, you could go to the docs that way. Um, okay, let me just check if there's any other subjects here. Oh yeah, here, check this one out. So we're on we'll take a coin contract like this one, and we'll deploy it onto Scroll Sepolia. And then we're going to quickly make a DApp. And I wish I could tell limericks while this thing is loading. Or something. This is, okay, so that's loaded, and we're gonna compile it, and then we're gonna deploy it. And this is Scroll Sepolia, I believe. Yeah. And then we're gonna grab my address and put it into the constructor. And then we're going to deploy it. And then it's going to ask me for approval. Like. And this only happens when you're deploying to a public network, what I'm about to show you. So right now, when we open up the deployed instance in Remix, there's all these functions. And suppose like you want to show this to somebody at a hackathon. I mean, you're doing this at a hackathon or have a client or something. So you click this, and you want to make it so that you don't need to show them all the functions. You just need to show them some of them. So I'm gonna I want to close this to get some more room. Go back to deploy and run over here. So I'm going to give it a different logo here. And
Brewster Glen.
and here's some instructions. And this is whoa. Wow, that's crazy. Um, do this first, and then some other instructions, and then we don't need that. We can just get rid of a lot of these. And then we're gonna drag like this one over here, and oh, I think we got rid of too many of them. Oh no. Okay. Uh, so you can kind of arrange them a little bit. Anyway, so then this is it deploys the DApp on Surge, and you just put any email and password here, and then you select a unique one like roosters are us, and then you just and we'll deploy it using the dark theme. I don't know, we'll just leave it light. Deploy it. And in a minute, once it deploys, you'll get a URL, which should be coming. Wow.
Can I also work on this DApp locally?
You mean, does it work? Would you be able to do it? You mean like update the front end?
Yeah, yeah. Like if I wanted to pull down the code and then start working with it locally.
Uh, I haven't tried that yet, but that's definitely the next step of what we're gonna
Mm.
let you do. I think with Remix Desktop it would be really easy. Um, and yeah, I think so. Now we have the URL, and then you can connect your stuff to it. So you just give someone that URL, and then they've got the DApp.
Yeah. I remember, I think when I saw this, I thought it was really cool because I was like, oh, like if like the code in the background, it'll show me how I can actually interact with contracts on the front end. I guess for people who like aren't familiar with like what does it look like to call a contract or import a contract and all of that.
But do you think it'd be just good enough to have a download button for this code, or it would create the code in the file explorer?
I think the file explorer would be good. I mean, it really depends on use case, right? So I think if I was using this, because most of the time I think if I was building a DApp, the front end's usually more complex than this, but it's more so like, okay, this is what it looks like to call a function or something. And so having it like being able to just click into the file explorer system and like see how it's written is really helpful. Like the way I see that myself using Remix is kind of like in that form. I really like the learning, like kind of on the side as well, guiding me. I'm like, oh, how do I change a state variable? How do I do XYZ? I forgot. Having on that side, I think is really powerful. Um,
So
yeah,
in this case, if it was here, if you could like have some folders with the front end code, then you could just check out the code and make adjustments, and then you could redeploy the DApp.
right, yeah.
Yeah, that does seems like a small addition. And then yeah, and then you could deploy it other places. Um, let's see, the dApp now. It has essentially like, and you could potentially even swap out this entire like wallet mechanism for a
Mm.
different kind of wallet as well. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I'm gonna start pushing that.
There's so many things in like smart contract development that could be better, you know. The landscape has changed a lot. Like I said, I think there's a lot of cool things that Remix added since I had not used Remix, I think, for probably 2 years. Um, and now it's changed so much, I think, within that time. That's definitely, I think, more, I don't wanna say useful because it's still it was useful before, but it's like it's become robust to a point of like, oh, I can see myself leveraging Remix as kind of a resource alongside my normal development, right? I think specifically calling out stuff like the debugger, um, which I used all the time when I was still working at Truffle. Super helpful. I think deployments via the browser, I think was super interesting. I think when I first used Remix, I don't know if that was available. Um, or maybe I just didn't discover the button. I don't know, but that's super helpful. I think especially for beginners who are potentially exposing their private keys and uploading them to GitHub on accident,
Yeah.
right? Um, really nice. Though I guess in this case, I mean, not that it matters, but like for the if they were doing the using the provider like the HTTP like Alchemy, their API key would be exposed. But I guess that's not really a problem. I'd assume basically if they were doing it locally and wanted to upload it to GitHub, they could
When you
do
go
it.
here, you're just getting the URL of the provider endpoint.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I meant more so like if I'm connecting to Alchemy, it's like usually like scroll dash sepolia.alchemy blah 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 slash and then your API key
Hmm.
is the URL. And so I think in this case, the right move would be to connect to RemixD, store all of this information. Like, let's say, like you are working in Hard Hat, right? So that way you can do the configuration of like having the .m file hide the API key. And then I guess in this case, you just wouldn't be you would use Remix for local development and then Hard Hat for, like, the actual deployment. Um, I guess if you're
Yeah.
concerned about your API key, but I don't know. For me, I definitely like,
I
I
mean,
was always
most of
building
the,
sample devs and it was, like,
yeah.
free tier, so it didn't super matter. Um,
But like their kind of typical users are either they're beginners
right,
or
yeah,
they're people just like trying to prototype an idea.
right.
So they're
So
not
then
using it for the full
right,
suite of like production development. It's just coming up, just trying to sketch out the idea if you're
right, yeah,
more advanced.
for sure. So I definitely see Remix as, like, a good, like, scratch pad. I like how you said sketch out the idea. Right, like fast iteration. I think the part that I really like is when you have the contract and then it just has all the it like when you deploy it, it shows all of the different functions that you can just like call and input.
I mean, like in this case, and the nice thing is like on this one, you can put your inputs in separately.
Yeah, yeah. See, that's nice because like before, it's like, oh, okay, if I want to test this contract's functions, I have to like open up the console in Hard Hat and then like do like figure out how to call like instantiate the contract and then call the actual function and write all the code. And then it's also messy if you're doing it in the terminal. So then I'm like, okay, well, actually, I have to write a script just to like test calling a function, right? But if you port it over into Remix in the beginning, you just have the buttons you can click. And then you can check like, okay, is the storage value correct and all of that. When you're in the manual testing phase.
Yeah.
So I hate like JavaScript and TypeScript. So doing everything I can to avoid it um, is really nice. Um, yeah,
Yeah, that um, I started running away screaming from JavaScript at different points.
yeah, but it's unavoidable. I get
That's the
it.
truth.
Yeah, you gotta do it. Mm, and that's I think why this like front end part is like super useful for people like me. Um, but also even like the part where they just have example deployments and it has the script. Um, like yeah. Oh, I guess that's the other question I have. Does Remix AI also do like the script part? Because I know you gave an example of like, oh, create a function. Um,
No, it's optimized on Solidity.
okay, it's optimized on Solidity. Okay, cool.
Oh, but speaking of that, we do have a Viper plugin. So if anyone wanted to try Viper, um, it will compile Viper files. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Not so interesting to see the plugin, but it's over in the plugin manager.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I've actually never used Viper, um, other than what I heard about the hack. But that's fine. I feel like once you get hit on the wrist once, like then you're super vigilant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, so
Wow.
yeah. Um, a lot going on at Remix. I think what if I were to summarize, right, like at its basics, most basic, like Remix is a place to deploy your first smart contract, right? But when you take a closer look, it becomes deploy on a test net or main net without exposing your private key through like injected providers, right? Um, working on your like contracts and getting AI help to kind of help figure out either what's wrong or getting the basics of a function that you might be trying to write. And in that same process, having a debugger be able to step through and break point and like examine variables. Um, I guess the other part too is during your development process, having Learn ETH directly on the side to help you with, whatever details you might forget about Solidity syntax. And then at the very end, wrapping it up with a UI to like Dap Builder, kind of expose what it looks like to leverage a front end. Did I miss anything?
Um, well, there's a bunch of other like tools of static analysis of
Oh, yes.
linting and things like that. Um, but generally, that's it. It's like you get going quickly with development and then, just try stuff out.
Yeah, yeah. Cool. And then I guess the alpha or I guess thing that is happening, but it's still in beta, is Remix Desktop is coming. So all the pain points of online connection will go away. Um, but you get to leverage the same features similarly. I mean, outside of like things that require internet connection, right? But
Yeah,
otherwise,
yeah. You just have to
um,
prepare for what compilers you want, and then when the internet goes out, it doesn't make any difference.
yeah, yeah.
But I was thinking of demoing the turning off the internet, but then I realized that our line would get cut.
Oh yeah, the live stream. That's true. That's true. Other things will be disabled. You can't watch YouTube videos in the background if you turn off your internet specifically, so you can.
Also, I mean, in future, the AI is going to have its own kind of pop-up window that's coming quite soon.
Mm,
So you won't be in the terminal anymore. the the conversations with AI, and they're also going to be coming more videos inside of Remix. So you can, in the main panel of Remix here, there'll be a sort of like um, the sorry. Um, sort of like this, there'll be like videos here,
Mm,
which is coming in probably in a couple weeks.
very cool. Yeah. Okay, so we are at time. I'm not sure if you had anything else you wanted to showcase, but otherwise, this was very enlightening for me. Um, yeah, and I'm excited to like use Remix now as part of my like standard, I think, coding life practice or like I don't know what the right word
Yeah,
is,
I think
but
it's
like yeah, I mostly use Foundry and I noticed too in the provider section you there was like the hard hat node you could run, but you could also run Foundry tests.
also you can, compile from Foundry and deploy in Remix. It will grab
Yeah,
compilation
yeah.
results from whatever folder you're sharing.
Cool.
And so it works with either one. And then also in like, I don't remember if there was here, there was a note saying like compiled from Hardhat, but if you compiled it with Foundry, it would say compiled with Foundry over here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, lots of ways to use mix and match your tools. And oh, the other thing about RemixD is you could just keep coding in VS Code and just do all the Web3 stuff in Remix Desktop. So
Yeah.
you wouldn't need to switch your coding environment, but just use Remix for the Web3.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know. I mean, a lot of cool things. I think hands down, Remix is still the best environment for somebody first like entering beginners trying to figure out what it looks like to even like write their first smart contract and play about with everything. But at a point where it's a really good companion for maybe more mature developers like who need certain features in a I don't know, a local environment with something more beefed up like a foundry.
Yeah,
Um, so there's room for both, which is something I learned today. So thank you so much for your time, Rob. If I guess any questions come through, I can route them over to you.
please
But
do.
yeah, yeah. Awesome.
Well,
Well,
thanks a lot.
yeah, yeah. I'm sorry about the internet connection, but goes to show Remix Desktop's good idea.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
good.
Okay.